You can always say, and should at some point, you know, if there's something you want to show them, or if there's a movie, or if there's a really important point you want to make, or you're going to sing a song or dance a dance or do something. There's nothing wrong. It's your classroom. You can do whatever the heck you want in your own classroom. We're saying, would everybody do me a favor and please all close your laptops for a minute? Will they all close them? Big class. Will most of them close them? Most of our students are pretty compliant. They'll do pretty much anything we tell them. Don't experiment with this too far, but it is kind of fun. They will. You know, if you say, look, I really want your attention for a minute, because we've said, you've had teachers say to you, whatever, it drives me crazy if I'm teaching something and I know that they can't just write notes from what I'm saying and they won't stop writing. You'll just say, put your pens down. Put your pens down and look at me for a minute. That's the same thing as close your laptop. They'll do it on the whole. And the ones that don't, well, that's their experience that they're affecting. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now, in a room like this is a beautiful room for this, because you can sure teach around the room. I can make a video guy go insane now, because watch this. But you can teach around the room and talk to your students. Get yourself, if you can, to the back of the room once in a while. If they know that you're likely to wander to the back of the room, behind the screens, once in a while, that will have a significant impact on what they load onto that screen, like Spider-Man. Because often, and you know this, if you're maybe not doing work or not looking at something you should be, and somebody walks in, sometimes it takes forever to shut your screen down. So they'll be more careful. And that's just a policing thing. And it's interesting, or it should be interesting to you, to see what they are doing, because it will reveal a lot about your teaching. Now, if you do see sexually explicit content or anything of that nature, what you want to do is like, don't publicly humiliate them at that point, because there's not much point. But you are absolutely within your rights to say, please turn that off immediately. Speak to them after class. Say, this was inappropriate content for this. This was just inappropriate. Tell them it's distracting to others. Students will tell you the one thing when we asked the undergraduate students what they thought about teaching, and we asked about the electronic stuff, they said that they find it really distracting when people are looking at pictures on their Facebook and stuff right in front of them, because you can see it. And you know, whether you're interested or not, it's images, and it's that thing that will grab your attention. So a certain amount of policing is okay. One of the peer discipline issues that you can do is tell them, like everything else we should do in our teaching, talk to your students about how you expect them to behave. Talk to them right off the bat in the first class. Put it in your course outline. I'm going to show you some examples of the ways this is dealt with in course outlines. Put it right in there. Say, I know a number of you are going to be using laptops. I would encourage you to talk to your peers if they're doing anything that's distracting. They often are more comfortable with each other. If you think somebody's crossed the line, though, you make sure you talk to them directly about it. And often that's all that you'll need to do. If you have participation grades, you can have their participation grades negatively affected. I'm not a big fan of that necessarily, and I'm not talking about having their laptops open now. I'm talking about inappropriate content or doing things that might be distracting. Cool way to use it is if you have a PowerPoint presentation that you've got ahead of time, and they can all download it, put it on their laptops, they can follow along in design mode rather than just in view, or just run the PowerPoint presentation, and then they can make their own notes right in your PowerPoint presentation. A lot of students do that now. That's why they download them, is so that I've got the framework for my notes. Now I can type extra points in, and that's the value you're adding. That answers that question, why should I bother coming to class if I've downloaded the PowerPoint? Because it's just the frame that you're given. It's not all the detail, and it's not the example. So there's a number of ways you can do that. If they are, you can also have incomplete slides that they have to complete, space them every 4 or 5 slides. If you tear them back to having to do something engaged with the classroom material every once in a while, it makes them less likely to wander out to MSN or to wander out to Facebook, because it's a pain for them to have to move back and forth and move in. Some people, games, some people get really, really offended by games, more so than by all the rest of it. Is like you see a bunch of students playing solitaire or something. And frankly, I don't know about you guys. I would argue that I could listen to your entire lecture and play solitaire and it would not affect any of my attention at all. It would just be something to do rather than doodle. But it's an individual thing. Games should not necessarily be as offensive as a number of other activities which are more engaging, but I understand why people don't really want them. Any kind of interactive exercise you can give in class, and we're going to look at actually a number of really cool different things you can do with wireless. Ask them to do an internet search. Ask them to do a building task. Ask them to go out and find information, framework information about whatever your class is about, so that you're engaging them with the laptops, but it's engaged in class material. Then they may be surfing around a little bit, but at least they're surfing around in the content that you want them to be. But here's a problem with this. This all presumes what kind of a circumstance now in the classroom? And this is... Yes, that everyone has a laptop. And this is where we are now, which is kind of we're kind of between a rock and a hard place in a lot of ways. Because let's say we've been counting and tracking numbers lately, just popping our noses in and out of the big theaters, and it's still about 20%, just under, that are bringing laptops to class. So if you picture that, sort of 1 in every 5, sound about right, maybe 1 in every 6 has a laptop in class. Now, more of them may have laptops and be willing to bring them if they were asked to bring them to class. So maybe we could even double that number. But as soon as you get into activities that you absolutely require a laptop for, now what do you do when all your students don't have them, don't want them, can't afford them? Lost it. There's that number of things. So it's, we're in that funny period right now with the evolution of all this technology, where it's kind of a tough one. There's a number of ways people put words around this in their course outline. Computers be utilized for coursework and activities related to coursework. Do not use computers for entertainment during class meetings. I would hate to say that because I would hope they're always being entertained while they're in class. But do not display material on screen which may be distracting or offensive to your neighbor. Use headphones. I like this one. I took this out of one. Use headphones for activities that require sound. I sort of prefer that they weren't listening to their headphones while I was teaching. But I guess it's better than having the movie turned up on the speakers. Negative participation, surfing, gaming, chatting, emailing. That's negative participation. That's a new term. In class will reduce your participation grade by at least a half a letter grade. You are a distraction to others sitting nearby and to me. So that's some fairly strong language around that. When you're expected to be punctual, alert, and prepared for class. That's asking a lot often. You will be considerate of the instructor and other students, which includes not keyboarding or checking email while information is being presented. Now, does this mean I can't take notes? That's a bit strange. Please turn off instant messaging during class time and refrain from playing games on your computer. So, there's a bunch of different things people are using. You need to think about what it is you're doing. It's one more thing we have to manage. We've been managing chit-chat in the corners for a lot of years now. This is just really a different way to have to manage that. Then there's blah, blah, blah. This person got really into it. Wrote a big, long one. Acceptable uses include taking notes, following along with the instruction on PowerPoint, with demonstrations and other whole class activities, as well as working on assigned in class. It's easy for a laptop to become a distraction. A lot of people don't think about the distraction piece. When they think, I'm minding my own business, I'm just here. They're not realizing that they're just so front and center to that person behind them that it's hard not to see. May affect your final grade.